was never a prairie, but you weren't wary. You took my hand through the cold, pissing rain, dressed to the nines, arm in arm with me tonight.
Welcome to episode 4. These are some photos from my favorite photographer, Josef Koudelka. I've been interested in trying to reproduce his look. I started off shooting Fuji digital cameras pushing across 6400, and then working like a raw workflow where trying to recreate the effect. But ultimately decided that I really needed to just try film and see if I could learn how to make photos look like this. Some clues I found online. Joseph shot movie film. He pushed it 2, 3, or more stops. Yeah, there's not a lot of clues out there. I found a modern photographer, Stephen Tano. I like his YouTube work, where he's shooting Kodak Double-X, a movie film, medium grain, and he's pushing it, and I like it as well. And so I reached out to him and I said, how are you pushing your Double-X? And he said, I'm using Kodak HC-110. I also use rod and all, but for pushing, I like HC-110. So I bought a bottle. I bought 400 feet of Kodak Double-X, and I have been experimenting. I've been tracking all my rolls and then taking notes and relating them to photos I've taken, trying to make sense of what's working. And I've come up with basically my dev chart. I've come up with recipes for 14 minutes, 10 minutes, 7 minutes, and 5 minutes. And I've had good results with a lot of different times. But I found this article, which I thought was really interesting, which was just pick a time and let that be your time always, and just adjust the dilution. Just dilute differently based on how much you're wanting to push. Yes, that's what I'm doing here. Is I'm filling out for each time different dilution to get different pulls and pushes. And I've been reading this book, which suggests that Bill Troop has suggested that in general, go for longer development times and less agitation because you get better acutance. If that's your goal, which I do like sharper images. So I guess if he's right, I should be picking the 14-minute time. But of course, 14 minutes comes with the price of it taking longer. I think in the book it suggests, even longer than 14 minutes, like all the way up to 40 minutes, which, you often see people with rod and all pushing it. They're going all the way out to 40 minutes. But I wanted to come up with a systematic way to test 5 minutes versus 7 minutes versus 10 minutes versus 14 minutes, and to see if it was worth my time to do a longer development. And then also, as part of the experiment, I was interested in doing a heavy push. So I chose the like a +3 push for the 14 minute, the 10 minute, the 7 minute, and the 5 minute. I don't know if I said this, but this row represents the dilution. So this is one part developer to 19 parts water at 75 degrees, 7 minutes. Okay, now to the results of the test. Here's here's my photo, right? This is at night with controlled lighting. Yeah, I've just got mostly this is a ceiling light. I did take some measurements with my spot meter, and this is about between 5 and 6 stops, between some of these darker shadows and the brighter spots in the photo. So somewhat of an average scene. But you can see here that I've got, this was something probably like a 100 or 150 speed equivalent. Double-X is about a 200 speed film in incandescent lighting. So this is a little bit of like a overexposed. And remember, this is a heavy push, and so then this is a little bit underneath. Sorry, that had some settings. Got to reset it. So that's a little bit. This was probably like a 400 speed. This would be about an 800 speed, 1600. I gotta cancel out some of my edits. Let's do it again. So this is like close to box speed. And this is going to be like a 400, like an 800, 1600, 3200. Again with this +3 push. This is my 14-minute test. Now I took all the pictures for the 5-minute test, 7-minute test, 10-minute test, 14-minute test. It's all the same roll, and then I just cut it up and put it in 4 different tanks and developed it with different times and dilutions. But to get to the punchline on or the conclusion on some of my the most important questions, I'm going to grab a few from the 5-minute roll and a few from the 7-minute roll. All right, there's 3 from the 5-minute roll, 3 from the 7-minute roll, and then, all right. So these were all, something along the lines of like a 400 speed treatment, 800 speed, 1600 speed. Top is 5 minutes. This is 7. This is 10. This is 14. So then, to come in here and look at something where we can maybe evaluate acutance. My conclusion is that as we move down the rows, there is additional acutance. It's subtle, but it's there. Here's this bottom is my 14 minutes. They are all a little bit crisper and sharper with clearer edge definition than the 5-minute. And then, moving up. It is subtle. It's I'll admit that when I first looked at these, I was like, whoa, it doesn't really matter. But the more I looked, I did kind of decide. So I am gonna go with 14-minute development time. It makes me curious to try longer. So, I definitely, if it was a pinch, I would definitely, feel fine about doing definitely 10 minutes, 7 minutes. Some of the 5-minute spots look a little bit muddier, but it's so close. So then back to the 14-minute, just do I like the look of this heavy push? And if so, paired with like what speed treatment on the exposure side. So this is, something along the lines of like treating it like a 100 or 200 speed. A bit about, I did meter this right here was metering it at like a zone 3 or 4, and got lifted up to like a zone 5. This was like a 6 or a 7 and basically got pushed up to the shoulder. So while I like this, I don't like how far my highlights got pushed. Something like a 400 speed treatment. Again, I really like this, but that's good. This is good, but I liked the 800 look a little better, with plenty of room to still bring up the shadows. Looking at the grain here, right, we can tell how much. Maybe if I have time, I might come back to this. That the grain is almost entirely determined by the exposure. Right, if I pulled up this 5 and the 7 and the 10, they're going to be identical for this exposure. And as the more I underexpose, right, the more the grain builds. So the grain, which grain do I like best here? Something that starts to get to be a little too much. That's not quite enough. So somewhere in that 400 to 800, especially the 800. There's like a 400 and there's like an 800. 16. So then, what's my conclusion on this +3 push? I think it works really well with like a 400 or 800, especially 800. There's 800, right? And this is unedited, straight out of the scanner, right? I edit that a little bit, and I think I'm going to get something I really like. And both for kind of what was a zone 4 and what was in maybe a zone 7, which is most important to me because that's usually where my subject and my skin tones are going to be. And some of my things below zone 4 are really dropping down and becoming dark shadows, which is really the look I'm after. All right, so I think that's all I've got for now. Maybe let's grab these the kind of 800 speed here on all of them. And then this one I had done a little editing on, so let me just apply it to all of them. So now we got 5 minutes, 7 minute, 10 minute, 14. I think this is the best one. It's subtle. But it's there. Yeah, I'd probably edit down and bring that. That's a little. I mean, not that I'm actually going to keep or use this photo. But yeah, it's a meter like an 800 speed film with this +3 recipe. I think this is a good starting point. All right. And then just to share that recipe a little bit more. So that's here. 1 to 39 at 75 degrees, 14 minutes. And then this, the +2 +1 box and the poles. I want to test these more, but right now this is what my best estimates of the dilutions.
Yeah, like continuous thunder.